There is an invisible currency that you use every single day. You don't keep it in a bank, and you don't keep it in a wallet. You keep it in your throat. Have you ever noticed how some people command a room without even raising their voice? How they seem intrinsically important before you even know what they do for a living? You assume they are the CEO, the owner, or the investor simply by the cadence of their sentences. This is rarely about a fake accent. It's about the psychology of security. Today, we are decoding the speech patterns of the truly wealthy. And when I say wealthy, I am not talking about the flashy, get rich quick crowd screaming at you on Instagram. I am talking about old money, the quiet, understated power of established status. We are going to break down exactly how to speak the language of value, covering 7 distinct pillars of communication that separate the elite from the average. By the end of this video, you will have the tools to completely change how people perceive you in business, dating, and life. Welcome back. Before we dive into the tactics, we need to address the mindset. There is a massive misconception that sounding rich means acting snobby, using a posh British accent, or using outdated words like indubitably. That actually signals the opposite. It signals insecurity. It signals that you are wearing a costume. Speaking with status is actually about signaling that you lack nothing. It is the audible sound of having zero anxiety about your place in the world. When you are financially secure, you don't need to rush. You don't need to impress desperately, and you expect to be listened to. Let's begin with pillar number 1, the luxury of pace. Time is the ultimate asset. More than gold, more than real estate, the wealthy value time. Paradoxically, this means they never seem to be running out of it when they speak. People who are constantly scrambling for money or seeking validation are often scrambling with their words. They talk fast. They rush through sentences because subconsciously they are afraid they will be interrupted before they get their point across. They fear their turn to speak will be stolen from them. Wealthy speech is unhurried. It is deliberate. If you want to signal status, you must slow down. Speaking slowly implies that your time is yours to control and that you trust the listener will wait for you to finish. It signifies that you are not afraid of losing the floor. Think about a frantic salesperson trying to close a deal versus the CEO listening to the pitch. The salesperson speaks at 100 miles per hour. The CEO speaks at 30. Who holds the power in that room? The slow speaker. Don't let the anxiety of the situation dictate the speed of your voice. Own the tempo. This leads us directly to pillar 2, which is the ultimate weapon of the high status speaker, the power pause. Insecure speakers are terrified of silence. To them, a quiet moment in a conversation feels like a failure or a bomb they have to diffuse with noise. They fill every gap with or nervous laughter. People with high status are comfortable with silence. They use pauses strategically. When you are asked a difficult question or when you are negotiating a price, most people rush to answer immediately to please the other person. The high status individual takes a beat. They pause for 2 or 3 seconds. This does 2 things. First, it shows you are actually thinking and considering your words rather than just reacting emotionally. Second, it creates a vacuum. It makes the other person lean in. It builds tension that you are in control of. Silence isn't empty space, it is punctuation. Use it to let your important points sink in. Next time you make a strong statement, stop talking. Let it sit in the air. Do not dilute it with a nervous follow-up explanation. Pillar 3 is about volume control. There is a saying, empty vessels make the most noise. In a crowded restaurant or a boardroom, the person shouting to be heard is rarely the most important person at the table. Raising your voice is a sign of a loss of control. It implies that your authority is slipping, so you have to compensate with volume. Old money communication is often quiet. It forces people to listen closely. This is a subtle power play. By speaking slightly softer than the environment demands, you force the room to adjust to you rather than you adjusting to the room. If you yell, you are begging for attention. If you speak quietly and clearly, you are demanding focus. Try lowering your volume when you want to make your most critical point. It is counterintuitive, but it pulls people into your orbit. Pillar 4 is specific to your vocabulary, precision over complexity. There is a trap that many people fall into when they try to sound sophisticated. They start using a thesaurus. They use big, multisyllabic, complicated words to sound intelligent. This is a hallmark of new money or someone trying to fake it. It screams effort, and effort looks cheap. Truly sophisticated speech is about precision, not complexity. It's about using the exact right word for the situation, even if that word is simple. Instead of saying a meal was absolutely, undeniably, incredibly fantastic, a sophisticated speaker might simply call it exceptional. You must also eliminate the weak intensifiers. These are words like literally, basically, actually, and honestly. Think about the word honestly. When you start a sentence with honestly, I think we should do this, you are subconsciously implying that in your other sentences, you weren't being honest. Clean speech is valuable speech. Strip away the fluff. If a word doesn't add value to the sentence, cut it out. Pillar 5 is perhaps the most common mistake made by the younger generation: eliminating uptalk. Uptalk is when your pitch rises at the end of a statement, making it sound like a question. I am doing it right now. Can you hear how unsure I sound? When you do this, you are subconsciously asking for validation from the listener. You are signaling submission. You are asking, do you agree with me? Is what I'm saying okay? Please don't be mad at me. High status communication uses a terminal drop. Your voice should go down in pitch at the end of a sentence. Imagine a judge delivering a verdict. They do not say, you are guilty. They say, you are guilty. The pitch goes down. Practice this. This is the price. I disagree with that. We will meet on Tuesday. The terminal drop signals finality. It signals that the statement is true and not up for debate. If you want to be taken seriously in business, you must kill the uptalk immediately. Pillar 6 brings us to the art of disagreement. This is disagreeing without being disagreeable. Lower status individuals often struggle with emotion during conflict. If they disagree, they become defensive, aggressive, or passive aggressive. They take business personally. Wealthy communication separates the person from the problem. You will notice that high status individuals can disagree with you completely while maintaining a polite and calm tone. They use phrases like, I see it differently, or that hasn't been my experience, yeah, rather than you're wrong. They don't feel the need to prove they are right. They simply state their position and move on. They are not desperate to win every single conversational battle. This detachment makes them seem unshakable. If you get angry, you have lost the frame. If you stay cool while stating a hard no, you have won. And that leads us to the final point, Pillar 7, the art of the no. Warren Buffett once said, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. There is a way to say no that sounds apologetic and weak, and there is a way to say no that sounds wealthy. The weak version sounds like this. Oh, I'm so sorry. I really wish I could, but I'm just so busy right now. Maybe next time. This is full of guilt. The high status version is direct and guilt-free. I appreciate the offer, but I'm not adding anything new to my plate right now. Or simply, that won't work for me. Notice the lack of over-explanation. You do not owe the world an explanation for your time. When you explain too much, you are giving the other person a chance to argue with your excuses. When you give a polite but firm no, you establish boundaries. And boundaries are the fences that protect your value. Let's bring this all together. Speaking like a wealthy person isn't about arrogance. It is about removing the signals of neediness. It's about replacing frantic, high-pitched, fast-paced energy with calm, low-pitched, deliberate assurance. It is the shift from, please listen to me, to, I am worth listening to. You don't need $1 million in the bank to adopt these habits. In fact, adopting these habits is often the precursor to getting the $1 million. It changes how the world treats you, and eventually it changes how you treat yourself. Try this for 1 week. Slow down. Pause more. Drop your pitch at the end of sentences. And watch how the dynamic in the room shifts in your favor. If you found value in this deep dive, please demonstrate your high status decision making by liking this video and subscribing for more content on the psychology of success. Speak with intention. I'll see you in the next one.